Okay, so we got a cool little test to do today. I got a World Axe Throwing League hatchet from a family member over the holidays. Really nice little thrower. I did some practice throws just the other day, and I figured out real quickly that I suck at throwing. But you know, like with most things, practice makes perfect, I guess. So today we're going to be pitting up the Gränsfors bruk grinding stone against the legendary Arctic fox puck. Okay. Now this is a used puck that I received from a member of a Facebook group that I'm in as a Christmas gift, and I want to give a shout out to him for sending me a couple heads, my first vintage heads. I really appreciate you. He did something really incredible for my family, and I just can't thank you enough, man. You know who you are. So I've been speaking with, I believe he's possibly one of the owners of Baryonyx Knife Company, but that's who produces these Arctic fox stones. And I've been having some issues with this, so I've lapped it with a diamond plate and gotten as much of the loading out as I can. It seems that the metal fines have made its way pretty deep into the coarse side. So this is a sapphire ceramic blend that they do on this fine side here that's 400 grit, I believe. Now, I don't remember exactly what the grit range is on the coarse side, but to be completely honest, I can't feel much of a difference between the two. Now, I was directed to lap this, and when I use it, to use a lot of pressure. The sapphire ceramic blend is supposedly just slightly less friable than the ceramic that's used in most other water stones that you find out there, and like the about broke it the much smaller Gränsfors bruk grinding puck. But yeah, I'm going to leave this soaking for a little bit longer just so it's a fair test. But I've got some semi-deep file marks from a smooth double cut file. I'm going to try to remove those. This is just oak tannin from throwing it. So, alright. We're going to start out on this coarse side, and I'm going to go by the directions of what Ben told me to do, and we'll see how this goes. Now, like I said, I haven't really felt much of a difference between the two sides, so apparently you're supposed to use a lot of pressure, so that's what I'm going to do. Oh, wow. Okay. So, this is what we've got so far. It's actually cutting pretty quickly. I can see a lot of black metal coming off of the axe here. And that's the coarse side on this stone. I think it's 180 grit. I'll correct that in an annotation. This axe actually was the first axe that I successfully filed to near perfection. I'll roll in a photo of that, or maybe a video clip. But yeah, the side seems to be working pretty well right now. I'm gonna keep going, see if I can't remove these file marks. And he did advise me to clear the surface frequently because it cuts quickly. But I'm going to be the judge of that. We seem to be making a decent amount of progress. It's very apparent that the abrasive that's used in the binder is a lot less friable in my opinion. This is a very hard stone. I can see why you recommended using a lot of pressure. Let's see if we've already made a burr. So now the finish may not look like it's cutting all that great, but I definitely established a burr in that short amount of time. So that was actually really quick. Okay, so I'm gonna clean this off. And we'll move. How are we going to do this? We'll just use the fine side here on the same side and just see how quickly it removes the scratches from that. And once we get to the Gränsfors brook puck, we'll create a final edge with this. This side does feel a lot more, what's the word? It feels softer, more luxurious and less puck-like, you know, kind of like the Lansky. Again, I'm using quite a bit of pressure. I'm going to clear the surface. See, it is loading a bit. But, wow. I feel like this fine side is working faster than the coarse side, which is kind of strange. Yeah, I mean, this thing is cutting really quickly, actually. Interesting. Before I lapped it, it did not want to cut very well, which makes sense. So you can see that it's brightened up quite a bit. Alright, now we'll switch to the other side and see how quickly the coarse side on the GB puck works. Now, one thing you don't get with the Arctic Fox is this neat little rubber case, and I did say in my last video I did not think this was worth the money, but you're paying for something different, I suppose. There's not much in the way of more friable axe pucks out there, and I believe the kind of thought process behind that is, you know, the way that they make the stones, they have to compress it and they have to heat it up, and there's risk of, you know, it breaking, thus the smaller size on this. Now, I don't know the story about the Arctic Fox, but there's also a stone out right now by Holtzbrook, which I'd like to get my hands on, that looks to be my speed, which is a more friable, larger stone with actual finger grooves in it to keep your fingers safe from the edge. That seems like a really cool deal, and it comes with like a little a leather carrying case as well. It's kind of kitschy, but it also looks like a pretty quality stone. Alright, I'll quit talking and start sharpening. So immediately, the coarse side on this Gränsfors brook puck feels more aggressive, but also harder to control for some reason. I'm doing this on a 20-degree flat grind, so it could be that I have a burr that was developed over, and that's why I'm kind of feeling out of control a little bit. But it should be gone by now. Still kind of getting that feeling. Okay. It doesn't feel as comfortable to use as the coarse side did on the Arctic Fox. It feels more hard and scratchy, but it does remove metal pretty quickly. So there's kind of a give and take happening here. Normally I would not be sharpening this way, but I'm just kind of keeping an eye on the finish that these are producing rather than trying to make an edge. I'm going to regardless, but I just want to keep this bevel even. I spent a good amount of time with my files on this, and I don't want to completely bugger it up. Huh. You know, this Gränsfors puck is no slouch. I've got a massive burr formed on this other side now. So I can't seem to remove this tannin. It's stained the metal here. But let me get a towel real quick and clean this up. Okay, so drop it back in the water. Move to the fine side, or the 400 grit side on this. Oh, we've already been there actually. Well, I feel dumb. Got ahead of myself. Alright, so onto the fine side on this GB puck. Now I'm going to start paying attention what I'm doing now on the edge. See, right away, the Gränsfors puck, you know, it's way more friable than the Arctic fox, and this is where it shines, is the fine side. It's very smooth and creamy. It doesn't wear too quickly. They actually give you more of the fine side on this one. It's the opposite for the Arctic fox. I'm just kind of looking to see if the finish is more even and pleasant looking on this side. Now you can see it's got a good bit of mud accumulated on it. A lot of that is metal being removed. Yeah, my file marks are almost gone now. Okay. Burr is gone and flipped over to the other side. It seems to be a little bit more wispy and hazy, but it felt like it was cutting quicker, but it was probably because the abrasive is more easily pulverized, and it was just smoothing it out as I was doing it. That can kind of work against you. It will create what's called a third body abrasive, and all those little pieces of ceramic floating around will actually plow into your edge whenever you're trying to create your apex. So it might not be the best stone for finishing, but as far as like finish goes, the actual appearance of it, it seems to want to do a better job. It's not as streaky, so we'll just create a final edge on this. We're kind of flip-flopping here. We've got the coarse side from the Gränsfors puck. And now that I look at it in the light, the scratches are much deeper than what was happening on the coarse side of the Arctic fox puck. And I'm not a fan of it. I've never been a fan of the coarse side on this stone. Okay. Man, this stone actually is fast. I just watched it wipe away some of that staining like it was nothing. And that's, that's embedded in the metal, so, we're removing steel here, and quickly at that. Okay, just make sure that I'm not getting too loaded up here. I do like the size of this stone. They're about equal in size if you count the case that comes with the Gränsfors puck. Alright. I mean, we're pretty much done here. As you can see, it's more of a bright, hazy finish. Suppose, well, they're about equal actually. I can see the scratches are more defined on the 400 side. This is 600, so that looks about right to me. Okay, let's see where my edge is at. So the advantage of this Arctic Fox puck not being as friable is that you're going to get more crisp apexes. So let's see what we can do here. I'm going to lighten up the pressure. Camera up a tiny bit. I can feel it grabbing that burr and just tearing it off. Definitely not giving off the amount of mud that the Gränsfors puck was, obviously. It's just removing steel, what it's supposed to do. Oh man, I'm kind of conflicted now. I honestly was going into this review not having a lot of good things to say about this stone. But honestly, it's changing my mind the more I use it. Okay. Alright, so here's the Arctic Fox side. Let's bring you closer. Nice high luster, but you can see the individual scratches a little bit more. Flip this around. Sorry for my dirty sink. And there's the Gränsfors. Yeah, Gränsfors side. Not much of a difference. Man, that's hard to tell actually. Wow. Huh. Kind of eating my words right now, even though I didn't really say anything negative about the Arctic Fox. Okay, so let's check the edge real quick. Oh wow, that feels really, really nice. I'm impressed. Jeez. I'm not going to do a cut test because they're not accurate. I don't think that it's a good way to show you how something performs, because a lot of this goes it has to do with how well you use it. It's not the stone usually. In some cases it is, but in this case it's not. It feels really crisp, nice, and got a nice amount of bite to it. It's grabbing the skin of my thumb. No burr left over. That did much better than I thought it would. Okay. So here, we'll do like a little comparison. So there it is next to the Arctic Fox. You get more fine on this one, just in width, but you get more surface area on this stone here. Now you can see that the case for the GB puck is the same width as the Arctic Fox puck. So you're getting a lot more stone for your money, and quite frankly, you're getting better cutting ability. I can't believe I'm saying that right now, but before I was going to make this video, I had been using it, and it had a lot of metal loaded up in it. It was glazed over, and I thought that was a reflection of how the stone was going to perform, and you know, it just needed a little TLC, and it brought it right back. I mean, you know, it does load a tiny bit. You can see how it's penetrated the pores of the stone. Not that this one doesn't do that either. I mean, it's still, this one loads a bit too. It's just not as apparent when you're sharpening on it because it's more friable and it releases grit easier. So what are you getting whenever you're buying the Gränsfors puck? You get a softer stone with what seems to be a more aggressive coarse side. And it's not necessarily a good thing. But the fine side, however, it feels nice. It really does have a nice feel to it. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for that experience. And honestly, you know, stones are trying to replace what files should be doing, and I would much rather have a whole stone of the 600 grit than, you know, any of that other coarse side. It really rubs me the wrong way. I don't care for it. And I suppose you're getting this branded rubber case that you can fit into your pocket. Ooh, man, I just heard a gunshot outside. That was not good. That was loud. Very close. Anyway, that I live out in the country. Happens a lot. I'm not worried about it. Famous last words, huh? So, yeah. What can I say about this puck? So, it's at least half the price of the Gränsfors puck, and you're getting so much more stone for your money. And quite frankly, the amount that I like this rubber casing and how friable the 600 side is, it doesn't amount to how well that stone just worked for me. It's a different feel. I mean, this is soft with a really hard, aggressive side, and this is more well-rounded. You know, it's not pretending to be anything else other than what it is. I think the winner has got to be the Arctic Fox, and that's kind of a shock to me right now. Now, you know, I did do a video previously where I bashed on the Gränsfors puck, But, you know, if you want to go out and spend your money on that, you know, that's up to you. There's a, I cannot pronounce this Swedish branding in here, so you can read that yourself and see what you think it is. Whoever's making the stone, they're making a pretty good stone, actually. I don't mind it. I really don't. I like the fine side on this stone, and I also like the fine side on that stone. And I think that's what you're buying the stones for, really. Like, you're not going to love the coarse side of a stone on anything usually. And that's kind of why I'm interested in HB's newest stone that they put out. It seems like they might have tweaked the formula a little bit and maybe something surprising came out. So anyway, guys, I know it's been a minute since I uploaded any axe footage, but I've had this stone for a minute and I figured it was time to do a review on it. So winner goes to the Arctic Fox, and I'm happy to have it. You know, it's a great stone, but I also love the GB puck too for what it is. Not worth the $45, but hell, I'll take it for free.